What do the politicians care about? Maintaining their power. That's what they care about. You know, they get up in the morning, what they think about is how to increase their power, how to maintain their power, and how to get reelected. You guys worry about what's best for your community, what's best for your family. You know, they're worried about power and the maintenance of power. That's what they do for a living. These are the things that they focus on. They're not you-focused. They're not citizen-focused. I talked to a legislator in 2010, good conservative guy. Well, I say good conservative, depends on your perspective. Conservative guy from Arizona who was retiring in 2010 as the conservatives were ascending. And I said, John, I don't understand why you would retire. Like, now is the time for you, right? And he said, Mark, you're not near cynical enough. They're not going to do anything that makes a difference. And I said, you know, how can you say that? The Tea Party and all, and I still had that idealistic glint in my eye. And he said, look, you get up in the morning and you think about, you're engaged in this, you travel because you care about what's best for the country. They get up every morning and think about, they look at their list of appointments, how will that bring money into my campaign? Who will I make angry if I do that? Who will benefit if I do that? Will this get me reelected? Will this benefit my donors, not my constituents? And that's how they run their lives in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't want to be totally cynical. I think there are some good people on both sides of the aisle, honest, genuine people who are there to do good for the country. But they are a tiny, tiny minority in the Congress of the United States. And we need more of them there, yes. But I don't believe that that's really the solution to our problems. You know, we have this premise in this country that I think is very backwards from how this country was designed. The premise that we have right now, we have all these debates about what should we do, right? Should we have universal health care? Should we have a private system? Should we have higher taxes on the rich or lower taxes? And we have all these debates around these particular policy issues, right? Should we have tighter environmental regulations or looser environmental regulations? And in my opinion, these are all the wrong fight. The underlying premise in all of those fights, that's okay, he can't disturb me, he's way too cute. So the underlying premise in all these conversations is that the decision should be made by somebody smarter than you that is in Washington, D.C. That's the premise. Or somebody in Sacramento that understands these things much better than you ever could. You can't be trusted with this decision, but they can. Well, I got a news flash for you. The heap and mess that we're in right now is because we've been letting these people make these decisions for us for so long. Both parties, bureaucrats across the board, they've been running things for decades. They've been doing whatever they want, mostly in Washington, D.C., and they've given us this. I mean, we're talking the Bushes, we're talking Clinton, we're talking Obama. Like, I don't see things getting a lot better under any of them over the long haul. And so we've got this mess on our hands that's created by this premise that in Washington, D.C., they should make these decisions. I think the right premise, I think the underlying question that should face us as citizens every day with everything that the government decides to do is this question, two simple words. Who decides? Who decides? That's really the right question to ask yourself. So when you're talking about your own medical care and your relationship with your own doctor, who should decide about that? A bureaucrat in Washington, D.C., or you? I think most of us, regardless of what we think of Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, what we think about a single-payer system, say, look, I should control the relationship between me and my doctor. Me and my doctor should control that relationship. I can tell you, not just because of Obamacare, but just the way our medical system has gone over the last 25 years, left and right, under both kinds of administrations, we don't control that relationship anymore. I meet with doctors all the time that tell me point blank, I am no longer able to live up to the Hippocratic Oath because I can't provide the kind of care that I believe is best because the government mandates that I provide certain kinds of care or my hospital is no longer reimbursed. And that care is not, in my opinion, the best care. I don't like a system like that. I think we should make that decision with our doctors. I trust the American people to the core. And I'm not talking about any partisan ideology. You know, here in Davis, which is widely known as a progressive liberal town, I trust people in Davis to make the decisions for themselves. I get to speak in Berkeley pretty regularly because of Joan Blades, and I tell you, I will fight and die for the right of people in Berkeley to make their own decisions. It's the same as I would fight and die for the right of people in Lubbock, Texas to make their own decisions. They'd make entirely different decisions, and frankly, if I lived in Berkeley, and I was a citizen of Berkeley, I'd probably fight against a lot of the things that they would decide to do in Berkeley. But I would rather have that fight with me and my neighbors and let my neighbors beat me in that fight, right? Because I trust them a lot more, even if it's not what I think we should do. I trust them a lot more than some guy in Washington, D.C. or some gal in Sacramento who thinks that they're smarter than all.